done really well, plays for his country and has done really well. Athleticism. But when I met him and spoke to him, I just really liked his attitude. He was really desperate. He's had a lot of interest across Europe, but he wanted to be here because he understands the size of it and the opportunity here. And he's a good person. So I think he's going to add a lot to us on and off the pitch culturally and in terms of performance, which is really important because we can't have one without the other. So in terms of how many more, I don't know. We need to keep improving the squad as much as we can within the framework that we have. And the ownership have been great and so supportive. So me and Kevin continue to speak about that every day, and we just have to make sure that when they come in, they're the right ones. So Mikey's come in and Oliver, and we're really pleased with them.
Rangers in the UEFA Champions League qualifiers.
Live on Sports Sound.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Right, Russell Martin there, Derek. Was he right to blast the players in such a public manner? There has got to be an element of risk surrounding that.
Yeah, I'm kind of... At the time, it seemed quite refreshing to me, but when I had to think about it, and Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, I wasn't quite sure it was the correct decision. I think everybody will have a different take on it. I think it's just sometimes it is good to keep things in-house. Because what we do, well, what managers do, what Russell Martin has done, he's gave you guys probably what you want, a lot of ammunition. You know, everybody's looking at it in a different way. Nearly just pointed out to me as well, you know, the starting 11 were out, the subs don't come out for another 5 minutes. Now, I probably wouldn't have even looked at that or thought about that any different, but then you start to think, is there a kind of within that dress room, is it fractured? Listen, this is where a manager has, it's not just out in the football park, it's getting that dressing room right, getting that togetherness.
There's players there who have hated these comments on Saturday night from the manager.
Well, I would have hated it because he's obviously spoke about right away. The one that flagged up for me was body language. And looking at the game, yeah, I could remember Tav a few times. A shrug of the shoulders, the arms, and Raskin did at times, but everybody's different. Diamande, he never really shows too much emotion, he just gets on with it. So everybody's different, everybody reacts differently, but it doesn't mean that you're not trying, you're not giving everything. I was quite surprised when he said they were knackered. I thought Rodwell looked knackered, I thought he looked leggy, but for me, Diamande and Raskin, I think these guys are more than capable going and playing in Athens in the searing heat and then coming back to Fir Park on a Saturday night on a beautiful surface. I'm sure they would, to me, that they could handle. Yeah, you can point the finger at one or two things tactically. I think they were found wanting at times, just in terms of the speed of play and everything. But to answer your question, yeah, the managers, you know, he's been very brave tonight. He's made big decisions. Well, listen, it needs to work for him, that's for sure.
Neil, he said the mentality issues, the question marks over character have been around the club for a few years. Does that chime with what you saw when you were in with Barry Ferguson?
Well, when we were in there, we felt that they were flat when we went in. We've spoken as a staff to say that we need to get more resolute when times are not going well. I think Russell mentioned similar type ideas that when it's not going well, you have to show a different sign, not just about ability. You have to meet what's ahead of you, and particularly domestically, because you'll try and be that ability will try and be neutralised by hard work or aggression, so you need to meet that sometimes, and that's something that we felt maybe lacked a wee bit, but we totally believed that we had turned that, given the fact that certain results that we were getting, adversity we were facing, we were actually standing up to. Now, what Russell's saying about attitude, ego, talking about his interpretation of ego, a lot of people's might be different to his, talking about always wanting the ball, it's not for everyone. I didn't see anybody hiding from the ball at the weekend. Russell's obviously got a clear plan of what he's looking for. He's got an absolute cast iron way that he wants to play, and that's going to take time. He's got 6 of his own players, or 6 of new signings in the starting lineup tonight, which might give him a bit of continuity in what he's looking for, because you would hope then that these new players won't have any preconceived ideas of how they've played in the past, or any remaining thoughts about how the game should go, or maybe, I don't know, weakness of mind that he's maybe questioning. But generally, Kenny, the group, yeah, they're good boys, but at times they let themselves down when times get tough, and not trusting their ability and why they're at the football club. But I genuinely felt that we had turned in that towards the latter stage of our time. But looking at never mind my time now, but looking at what Russell's doing now, and his comments and doing whether it's the right thing to lambast this side
so early.
Well, so early. Yeah, he did say, well, what is early? When's the right time to do it? I mean, we never missed anybody in there as a coaching staff. I think Fergie will back that up with Barry and what he's like. I think we were both like that, Dodgy and I, along with Barry, that the players understood we placed the same demand on this great club in terms of what's expected and what's expected on the training ground and in the park. But at times Barry came out and he was brutally honest, and I think we all were when we did our media. We wouldn't stand in ceremony and play a tactical, political situation as well. But it was very open, and
how did they respond to that? I'm wondering what the character is like in that dressing room, how they would have responded when they heard the manager had gone so public. There have got to be players in that dressing room that will not react well to this.
No idea how they reacted, Kenny. I couldn't say, because I actually don't know what was actually said in the dressing room. I only know what it said afterwards. But listen, I had shouting matches with Nico Raskin, I had shouting matches with several players in there, but they knew that I was that type of abrasive character, that I would still place the demand on him. But I tell you what, I never had any lasting effects from it, Kenny.
No, Raskin was brilliant under you guys.
We Nico was one of the ones that I clashed with early, and I clashed several times because I said about his discipline sometimes. He's absolutely not a player that wants to hide from the ball, let me tell you, because sometimes he wanted to do other people's jobs, and I wanted him to stay in a position that actually helped us as a team. And with him moving out to try and dictate the play, sometimes it burst our shape.
What is his position?
I think he's an 8. I think he's a guy that needs to gallop into the box, but he's shown for Belgium he can play that holding role, the number 6, which you wanted to play. Dodgy's spoken about this many times. I think Fergie has as well, but Fergie was a proper number 6, and all of a sudden turned himself into this goal-scoring midfielder because he had more to offer. Yes, he can play a deep-line midfielder, but he had more to offer than that, and that's what we were trying to tell Nico. And you would have rows with him, and sometimes, as Russell said, you've got to show him the pictures why you're asking him to do a certain job. But I tell you, towards the end, me and him had a great relationship, because they are good guys. You've got to sit down and explain the reasons for him. You can't just batter him. But I'm surprised he's not playing tonight, because I still believe he's one of Rangers' best players. But Russell has backed up what he believes in terms of he's got options in those areas. He just said it there. He took Diamande off, and he's taken Raskin off at weekend because he felt he's got options to change it up. Brought Conor Barron on in there, he brought Lyle Cameron, and he's freshened it up. This is a dangerous game for him tonight. He's got a certain way he wants to play. He will take risks. This team, in my opinion, looking at how many goals, 70-odd goals they scored last season, there are no mugs in the final third. Panathinaikos let Rangers off the hook in the last 2 games in the previous rounds. I don't think they can afford to take the chances, Derek, in this game.
Yeah, see on Raskin, I agree with you nearly in terms of let him off the leash. He's a box-to-box. But too many times he's away wide in the left.
He's playing left back at times.
I want him more in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
He's combative, he loves the duels, he wins most of them. I just think you don't get the best out of him. Against Motherwell at times, in the wide left position, he wasn't comfortable. You can just see that. It's the same with Suter as well. It's the same with Aarons. So that's where it's on the manager. He's playing 1 or 2 out of position. It's not quite suiting him. And that's why, when things are not going great, you're not getting the performance level, that's when you start to have a look at it, and that's when you start highlighting certain things. But Raskin, for me, I'd like him in the middle in a 2, but give him that freedom to hit box to box.
Yeah, what we have watched in the start of the season is, I don't think Rangers have searing pace up top. Like we said about, I think there's a lack of pace. Now, if you've got a lack of pace, you need players that can beat or get early crosses into the box. If with that, you need midfielders that can also hit the box. Raskin and Diamande can both do that, but at times, your point you're making there, because of inverted fullbacks and the winger staying right wide, Russell's asking, because he wants to play as his midfielders, instead of hitting the box or getting into forward areas, they're coming into a deep line fullback almost. That's what you're seeing. Yeah, we're both seeing the same types of. But that's his style.
You must have loved your time as part of the manager. The run game I was doing here, Neil, and I arrived And I was thinking that you would normally be with us in the Albion car park, walking along here, and you're riding the team bus outside the front door. I mean, just what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. I mean, there's an element, a huge element of pride having played here and won trophies, and you get the opportunity to come back and take the team. But you're not doing it as a gift, Kenny. You're actually thinking, right, this is an opportunity to go in and actually show the guys and show all the Rangers fans that you know what you're doing. You're up here doing a job. We're up here calling it like we see it as a player, or we'll get your coach's head on or your manager's head on, but then you've got an opportunity to take the team and put your wits against every other manager you're coming up against. And there's problems that arise, but the opportunity was so special, and we grabbed it with both hands, gave it our best shot. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to go any further than the time that was afforded to us, but it was an amazing experience, let me tell you.
Yeah, fantastic experience for you all. It's Russell Martin's time now. He was saying yesterday to me how much